Home. It's the one place where we're supposed to feel safe. Doors locked, blinds closed, lights off. We believe nothing can reach us. But tonight's stories prove that being home alone isn't always safe. Sometimes, it's when you're most vulnerable. And before we begin, a chilling reminder, subscribe now if you dare. Because the next story might just keep you up tonight. Now, let's begin. It was a cold November night in 2018, in a quiet Ohio town. Lena, a 19-year-old college student, was home alone for the weekend. Her parents had gone on a trip, leaving her in charge of the house. At first, she enjoyed the peace, a mug of tea, some quiet music, and her textbook spread across her desk by the window. The only sound was the scratching of her pen. Then, without warning, the motion sensor light in the backyard flicked on. She barely glanced up at first, assuming it was just a raccoon. But her pen slipped from her hand when she saw it. A man, tall, motionless, standing halfway between the trees and the light. His face was obscured, but his posture rigid, watching. Lena froze. She wanted to believe it was a trick of the shadows, but she knew someone was there. The light clicked off. Darkness swallowed him. She waited, heart hammering, until the light flicked back on. This time, he was closer. She reached for her phone, but before she could dial, the back door handle rattled, slowly, testing. She crept into the hallway, her breath shaky, and whispered into the phone as she called 911. The dispatcher told her to stay calm. Officers were on their way. Minutes felt like hours. She could still hear the handle twisting, softly, insistently, then silence. When police finally arrived, Lena expected them to find footprints from that night, and they did. But here's the part that still chills her to this day. The footprints weren't fresh. They were old, days old. That man hadn't just appeared that night. He had been circling their home, watching, waiting. March 2021, Portland, Oregon. Marcus was house-sitting for his aunt in her large 2-story home. It was an old place, with wood floors that creaked with every step. But Marcus wasn't nervous. Rain tapped gently against the windows as he watched a movie and prepared to sleep. Around 1 a.m., he stirred awake. He hadn't set an alarm. What woke him? Then he heard it. Footsteps, heavy, pacing back and forth upstairs. But Marcus was downstairs, and the house should have been empty. He grabbed the baseball bat by the couch and held his breath, listening. The sound stopped. Silence. Then, a whisper. A woman's voice. Soft, almost playful. Marcus's blood turned to ice. The whisper came from the top of the stairs. He bolted out the back door barefoot, the rain soaking him instantly. He ran to a neighbor's porch and called 911, shaking so hard he could barely hold the phone. Police searched the house thoroughly. No one was inside. No broken locks, no forced entry. But when they climbed into the attic, they found something that made Marcus feel sick. Dusty footprints trailing from the attic hatch down into the upstairs hallway. Someone had been living above him. Someone who knew he was alone. The last story comes from June 2019, Denver, Colorado. Rachel, a single mother, had just put her 7-year-old daughter to bed. The house was quiet, warm and still. She poured herself a glass of wine and sat on the couch to scroll through her phone. Across from her was a large antique mirror. It had belonged to her grandmother, and though Rachel always found it unsettling, it matched the decor of her living room. As she scrolled, her eyes wandered up to the mirror. Her reflection looked back, but something felt wrong. She leaned forward, squinted. Her reflection wasn't sitting, it was standing. Her stomach dropped. She blinked hard, convincing herself she was overtired. But when she looked again, her reflection tilted its head and smiled. A smile Rachel wasn't making. She jumped up, heart hammering, and tossed a blanket over the mirror. Then she raced upstairs to check on her daughter. She was safe asleep. Relief washed over her. But when Rachel returned to the living room, her blood ran cold. The blanket was crumpled on the floor, and the mirror was empty. No reflection. From that night on, Rachel refused to keep mirrors in her home. She still swears that what she saw wasn't a dream, wasn't exhaustion. It was something else. Something that used her face to stare back at her. 3 stories. 3 people who thought being home alone meant safety. But instead, they faced the kind of terror you can't escape. A man watching from the dark, a voice that shouldn't have been there, a reflection that didn't belong. Which story chilled you the most? Comment below with your answer. And don't forget to subscribe for more terrifying stories every week. Until next time, lock your doors, close your curtains, and don't look too closely at your reflection in the dark.